Michael, I'm a little bit worried. Okay. And maybe our guests, our podcast viewers, listeners can help us out. If they've been following the pod, they know at times our relationship's been a little rocky. There's been ups and downs. Chiropractors brought in. It's not all been roses. We make it seem like it's a good professional relationship, but man.
Yeah, we don't want to let you in behind the scenes.
I felt like two things. Felt like worship service yesterday. Got a indirect shout out with a tattoo reference.
Right. Yeah.
Positive.
Did you feel it was positive? Right.
That was great.
Now, did you know that
someone else has it?
Christopher was watching online and commented. I got a text from Clay where he took a picture of it and he's like, I got you
to get you that tattoo.
So he's like, I'll design that tattoo for you.
Nice. That's really cool.
But someone came up to me afterwards. He's like, this is a tattoo I got when my son passed away. He's like, go get your tattoo. Go do it. I encourage you to go get your tattoo. So
that's really cool. Next worship service. That's like your.
Yeah. I didn't know. Because I know tattoos can be polarizing
for some people. Yeah.
I think that they are fine as long as you use wisdom.
Oh, boom. Yeah. My kids were like, is he talking about you, Dad? Because they know, so that was kind of funny. So that's the positive.
Yeah.
Now I get to the negative.
Oof.
The hurtful feelings. I feel like, my Sunday school class was talked about as not being serious.
Oh, did I say that?
We might have to play back the tape.
What did I say?
We'll just add it. I'm just documenting this. Yeah.
I said, over in the other Sunday school, they may be talking about people texting and driving. But in this class, we're talking about meditating on God's word. Yeah.
I noticed that. And then after the service, one of your family members looked at me and was like, now we're even.
It happened to be one of my family members who you caught texting and driving. We don't have to say who it was, but yeah.
And it could be,
but it was a
family.
female.
We're all family in Christ.
Yeah. We're all family.
Could have been anyone. Anyone at church. I'm not saying who it was, and I did not say who it was, and it might not be your family, but I felt like I want to make sure our relationship's okay. We're taking shots at each other.
That's good.
We're good.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. Yeah.
It's good. When Michael's got the mic, he can say anything.
Yeah. So I did say that I was campaigning for Christopher and Emily's son to be named Trip, or to be called Trip.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
I think it's good. Trey's already taken.
Yeah, Trey's vouched for.
Yeah, that's so.
One of the when I was an undergrad, the chancellor at the time was a third, and he was affectionately known around campus as Triple Sticks. We would call him Trip Sticks. Triple Sticks. We'd be like, "Hey, Triple Sticks, what's up?"
And he was fine with that. He was like,
"Yeah,
good.
I think it was a term of endearment overall." So Triple Sticks. Good, So I like Trip. You know.
And then the other thing that I noticed, you may or may not, maybe you heard it.
You're talking about your family?
Yeah.
Yeah. I got a $50 bill out of that. It's great. I looked at Phoebe and I said, when I say when, or whoever did it, and offering plate went turned over.
Yeah. So I'm sitting down like in my little seat, and I think there's a couple of us that like to give offering its due. Like, I don't like to sing while people are collecting offering. It's like, let people focus on getting their money, because people are like, I want them to be able to focus on me and focus on that. So I like basically let offering get done. So I'm just sitting there and I see the offering plate just go
boom,
and
over the head.
What I heard later was that Phoebe had it and she was trying to pass it, but Lydia was right there. So she was trying to like take it over her head, but it was like, so I was like, do I address this that just happened? And I was like, I was about to give the gospel, and I was like, I'll just not address this. And
it was amazing, and it made me think, how has this not happened more often? I'm actually impressed.
Yeah.
But it was
Jill
great.
said we will not let her ever pass communion elements.
Dude, there's been times when I'm passing communion, and I don't know if I'm not doing my job, but there's like 8 kids in a row, and I'm just like praying to God, let's make this happen. And it hasn't. I'm like, how is this going to make it across? And it makes it across over time. And they're not little kids, but in my mind, I'm like,
Yeah.
It is amazing that we don't have more communion, man. I don't know how that hasn't turned over.
Now, I have on 2 separate occasions seen someone break our little plastic cups.
Wow.
I guess they're just squeezing them too hard, and it's like, psh,
yeah. You should put it to the pressure test it next time. Have people with the cups like stand up, stand down, like just really make them move, like everyone to the middle, like just see if people can like balance the juice.
Right one stomp, left one stomp.
Because it's
everybody clap your hands.
Because it. Yeah, do one of that hand clapping songs. See what happens because you never know what can happen. Yeah. But that was the first time I've seen the offering plate just go totally. I like it. You can't see it, but you do. Right? It was like she was doing like an alley-oop.
Were you behind or in
no,
front?
I didn't see it, but I was one row in front, so I definitely heard it. Yeah. And I was like, kids, grab the money. And all four of my kids were on the ground looking for it. We ate good that night. I'm just kidding. I think everything was accounted for by the end of it. We'll keep an eye on the mots.
We did do a scouring of the area.
We'll make sure they're not, coming into church with some like fancy clothes next week. Keep an eye on that.
Yeah. Would you have been upset if I had called you out and said
I would not have been
upset.
Yeah. If you ever did it again as a joke, would it be funny if I just like walked out the back and made everyone think like it was like something terrible? It's great. I was thinking this is what we should do. We should really not do this because we don't want to make the focus on us and take it off of God. But I was like, wouldn't it be hilarious? This is really not funny. I want to make that very clear. But it was like we should make it like the WWE or F or whatever. And it's like we've got beef with each other. Every time we're up there, you're like, and Zach, and then we're like, and it's just like an ongoing thing that just builds and builds and builds.
Like the guy, like where you're like, I'm calling you out.
Yes, that's what yeah. You'd be like, his Sunday school class, it's not serious. It's great. And just like every week, it's like, one of us is the heel. It's just like, it goes, there's something there.
No, that's
probably not the forum for it, but
that's good.
You got to come to Charleston Bible Church one of these days. If you're not, you got to chime in. You don't know what you're missing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think we could do that without hypocrisy. We can do all of that, being true to who we are.
I like it. The sermon title, Love Without Hypocrisy, Romans 12, 9 through 13. Let's take it to the next level. From the hearts of the Low Country in South Carolina,
it's the Take Two podcast, where we take theology to the next level. All right, so again, we are in chapter 12 of Romans, and we'll probably keep reminding you of this as often as Joel reminds us of it, but this is a huge section break. We've just covered 1 through 11, a lot of doctrine there, a lot of theology, and now Paul is going to start applying that to practical implications for how we live. Verses 1 and 2, we should be living sacrifices that are transformed, not conformed to this world. And then, boom, goes into spiritual gifts. And now we're on to this section where I would find this difficult to preach through. I thought Joel did a great job because it's a bunch of short statements, 13 all together of just boom, 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 boom. But the first one that is there is the love without hypocrisy. And so Joel took this as kind of like an organizing theme for the other ones. I thought,
that is good.
That's pretty good. So, I thought it was good as far as just providing some organization.
Anchor. Yeah, you can kind of think through it because it's easy just to lose all these, and you walk out and you're like, I think I'm supposed to do something good, but like, what is it? There's a lot going on, and shout out to Jonathan Compton. Got a lot of airtime or time.
That's right. Yeah. So I guess they call these their family rules.
That's cool. That's good. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
And he had his puzzle piece. Way to be on the ball.
Right.
Like he was just nailing it.
I was like, man, Jonathan, this is your time to shine.
That's great. He did great. Well, we'll just lead off with that verse 9, the beginning of it at least. Let love be without hypocrisy, as Michael said, kind of sets the tone. And Pastor kind of came in and with this great analogy, like Good Samaritan laws don't exist.
Right.
Which, if I've learned anything from Seinfeld, I thought that they did exist and they got in trouble for. I did not know that you could like actively like watch someone die and do nothing about. Maybe it's different if you're a healthcare professional, like you have an obligation.
Yeah,
I feel like I have to do CPR on someone, or I have to help someone, and I would be like, even if I didn't have to, that's a weird thing to do.
Right. Yeah. So I think just to clarify for our audience, there are some laws called Good Samaritan laws that protect you if you are in good faith trying to help someone in an emergency situation.
And it doesn't go great.
But there are no laws requiring you to render aid unless you are a healthcare professional. I think that then maybe you have a duty to render aid if it's feasible. You probably do not have to jump into a crocodile infested swamp to try to help somebody if that was deemed. But this guy, I don't even understand this, was just sunbathing and didn't even stop to help this guy who had fallen through the pier.
Yeah.
I don't understand that mindset. Maybe he thought, I don't have a float, because you can get drowned by someone.
Yeah.
You're trying to help somebody and you both get drowned. So I don't know.
That's true.
If that's
the story did not seem like that, but maybe that was his thing. Like, I'm like totally out. That's true. I'm not a super strong swimmer. I would feel like I would at least like walk over there and like call someone and be like, "Hey, buddy, you okay?" Or do something to like sunbathe.
Or try to get like a plank of wood or something. But he just sat there and so the idea is that you and I have a legal right to mind our own business or to turn a deaf ear to anyone in need to continue sunbathing while someone is drowning. You're not obligated to respond. And then Swindoll says, indifference may not be illegal, but is certainly immoral. Yeah. And so we are to love other people and to do so without hypocrisy. And so that requires us to be involved at some level.
I like that Pastor Jill said he was looking at different commentaries, listening to other sermons. And one of the sermons he was listening to, the title of this passage was Love is a Verb. That action is necessitated by love. I think love is one of these things. It's easy to, I think, go too far either way. You're like, oh, it's just a feeling. Or I can think people saying like it's only action. It's like, well, we've got both of these things. That's important.
Yep. And John talks about this. 1 John, he says, little children, let us not love with word or with tongue, but in deed and truth. So again, this idea that love is an action. It is a verb. It should be motivated by some feelings for them, but it's expressed through action.
And then we get to the second half of this verse. So it kind of, sets the stage really well. You let love be without hypocrisy, and then abhor what is evil. Cling to what is good. Another way maybe to say this is to be very hateful of what is evil. Do you hate evil? That's a good thing to think through.
Yeah, and hate gets a bad rap in our society. But
we need more hate. I agree.
We do need to hate the things that we should hate.
Well, it's like, I don't know. I guess hate just sounds so negative. It's hard because I get the pushback, like you don't want to hate, but you're like, by definition, you can't love everything.
Right. Yeah. And little kids all the time, I hate blah, 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 blah. And like, we don't use the word hate. I dislike. But like you were saying, in order to love marriage, we have to hate divorce type of thing.
Yeah, you know what? Hate needs better PR. Maybe we're the ones to do it. Let's go around to like little kids.
I think that's more merch ideas. Like give hate a chance.
There you go. We just need to get this out. John MacArthur has this quote. I'll go ahead and read. We can talk about it. Someone has said that the only security against sin is to be shocked by it. I think that's good. The constant bombardment of our senses through TV, newspapers, magazines, movies, and books with the immoralities, violence, and perversions of modern society make it difficult to be shocked by anything. Tragically, many Christians regularly entertain themselves with sheer ungodliness, perhaps rationalizing that simply by being a Christian, they are somehow immune from sinful infection. And I think he nails it because it's hard to be shocked by something that you're just like regularly taking in.
Yeah. No, I think that's good. And it's a good reminder that we should sensitize ourselves to those things so that we're like, can't.
Yeah, it should shock you. That's good. We saw these faces of meth, like these marketing campaigns to not do meth. I'm sure he could have found worse ones that he didn't want. Yeah. And I was like, he probably was like, I don't want to share those because that would be so repulsive.
Yeah, but he showed like, hey, this is them, 5 years after, before and after meth, and it just changes your face. And
the idea, tried meth?
What's that?
You ever tried meth?
I have not tried meth.
That's good.
But a lot of people from my hometown have.
Oh, yeah. I mean, maybe they do this today. Like, I know, like, in school, like, we had days, like, not just, like, don't do drugs, but, like, devoted to, like, don't do meth. Like, it was all centered around meth and faces of meth and these kind of things specifically. Maybe because it was prominent.
We had a cop come in. He's like, they sell you cocaine. You don't know what it is. It could be anything, which is true.
Yeah.
And they're like, and he took this white powder and he's like, does that look like cocaine to you? And like, maybe. He's like, well, what if you snuff this into your nose? And he put it into a cup and poured water into it. And it's basically the powder that's in diapers. It just instantly sucks up that water. And he's like, look at this. He's like, now what if you suck that into your nose?
Yeah.
I was like, okay. But that was the bald knob, but don't do drugs.
Boom. Bald knob, getting it down. And then Pastor Joel sang something. Did you know it was a song? Is that what he was saying? He didn't know it was a song?
Oh, I did not know.
I didn't know it was a song either. I've just heard it quoted a lot.
Yeah. So you want to read it?
You take it away.
Yeah, so I heard this a lot growing up. And I wonder if someone wrote a song after this.
That's
I don't
true.
know.
That would be a
Which
good
came
idea.
first, chicken or egg? But this was the song, as a child, I foolishly turned God away, not knowing the heartache a sinner must face. But God in his goodness has let me return to share with his children this lesson I've learned. Sin will take you farther than when you want to go, slowly but wholly taking control. Sin will leave you longer than what you want to stay. Sin will cost you far more than you want to pay. So,
that is good, and it just like that's something that sticks with me. Maybe I just heard it a lot, but it's like it's a good, sin will take you further than you want to go. So it is important to abhor what is evil because you don't want to get tangled up in that stuff. And cling to what is good. I like you got the callback here. Glue.
I thought we were about to get the rhino story again.
That's good.
Pastor Joel makes this idea that clinging in the Greek has this idea of gluing, like sticking on, like not letting go. And I thought we were going to get the story about the guy who glued his hands to the back of the rhino. So I had rhino. Anyone? Yeah.
That is good. Anything else before we jump to verse 10?
No, I think we're good.
All right, let's keep it moving. Verse 10 says, be devoted to one another in brotherly love. Give preference to one another in honor. I know the ESV says outdo one another. You kind of made that connection, but that's always a weird one to see, like outdo each other, it's a competition,
outdo each other. What's in the first one or the second one? You just read the phrase.
Let me read 12:10. It says, love one another with brotherly affection, outdo one another in showing honor.
Okay.
Instead of giving preference, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. And then this idea of, brotherly love. Brotherly love is like, if you were to read this in the Greek, it would say Philadelphia there. And we don't want to talk about the Eagles, bad team. But this idea of who are your brothers and sisters? Wow. And I think Jesus answers this for us. He would really say the body of Christ is your true brothers and sisters. That's what he's talking about in this scene from Matthew 12, where his brothers and his mother are there basically saying, come on, Jesus, you got to go home. Like, you got to stop this. And the people are like, your mother and your brothers out there. And he's like, who are my mothers and my brothers? There's these people right here that I'm with. And so he says, whoever does the will of my Father who is in heaven, he is my brother and my sister and my mother. So there should be a special love and a bond that we have with the body of Christ.
Yeah, I like that. Be devoted. Good thing to measure yourself against if you're doing that. And we're just going to keep with these quick hitters. It's like a machine gun, just like boom, 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 boom. Verse 11, not lagging behind in diligence, fervent in spirit, serving the Lord. So we got some big words that really communicate, really getting after it here with diligence, fervence. It's a lot of action is going on.
Yeah, and that fervent talks about being very hot, boiling. I think of lava, like you play the floor is lava.
Oh, great. My household floor is lava is big time.
But that should be kind of an idea of our spirit. And diligence is like not slow moving or sluggish, not a sloth. And he had pictures of a sloth.
I love this. That was great. Yeah. He was like...
How do they survive?
Yeah.
How do they live? But yeah, he was showing us. I think that's what you're doing. He's
so that was great. He was like going. I could tell he acted out the sloth. I was like so good. So good.
And he probably has not even seen Zootopia. Have you seen Zootopia?
Yes.
With the sloth there.
Oh man, sloths. They are just. They are great. Pet sloth man. But very very slow moving. We don't want to be slothful. You want to be diligent. And then he's got this quote by, everyone's a great Anglican. J.C. Ryle, the great Anglican guy. He's got a nice beard. Great guy. He's got this quote about zeal. He says, zeal is a burning desire to please God, to do his will, and to advance his glory in the world in every possible way. A zealous man is preeminently a man of one thing. He is more than earnest, hearty, uncompromising, wholehearted, and fervent in spirit. He sees only one thing, cares about one thing, lives for one thing, swallowed up in one thing, and that one thing is to please God. Whether he lives or dies, has health or has sickness, whether he is rich or poor, pleases people or gives offense, whether he is thought wise or foolish, gets the blame or the praise, whether he receives honor or is given shame, he burns for one thing, and that one thing is to please God. Such a one will always find a sphere for his zeal. If he can't preach, he'll work and give money. He will cry and sigh and pray. If he cannot fight in the valley of Joshua, he will hold up the hands of Moses until the battle is won. What a mic, that last line too, is like just building.
Good.
So good that you're gonna please God if you really have this zeal and diligence and being fervent in spirit. You're gonna find a way.
Yeah. And if we are fervent and we are not being sluggish, we should be in some measure trying to uphold the greatest commandment. Now, I had said in the worship service just before then, I don't think any of us actually do this fully, to love God with all of your heart, all of your soul, all of your mind, all of your strength. But probably we get closest to this when we're recording this podcast. Do you think so, Zach?
Almost there. Almost.
And then also this admonition by Jesus in the Sermon on the Mount to seek first the kingdom of God, not second, not third, not tied with other things. That should be our first goal. And I think that quote from J.C. Ryle is right on.
That's a good
no matter what our station in life is, where we find ourselves on the battlefield of life, if we're seeking first his kingdom, if we're kind of trying to serve him with all that we have, everything else is going to kind of fall in line.
Man, I like that. Like it doesn't work out in one way. You keep pushing through. 1 Corinthians 9, we read from Paul, who pastor makes the point that he's talking about athletics a lot, making these comparisons. Paul writes, "Do you not know that those who run in a race all run, but only one receives the prize? Run in such a way that you may win. Everyone who competes in the games exercises self-control in all things. They then do it to receive a perishable wreath, but we an imperishable. Therefore I run in such a way as not without aim. I box in such a way as not beating the air, but I discipline my body, make it my slave, so that after I have preached to others, I myself will not be disqualified." You can't read that and think that, things just automatically happen.
Yeah. Or you just, I'll just phone it in. Yeah.
That is pushing it to it's taken to the next level.
Yeah.
I think that's what the message says. Take it to the next level. Yeah.
Take it to the next level. All right, and then so motoring on verse 12, rejoicing in hope, persevering in tribulation, devoted to prayer. And this idea that we of all people should be optimists. We know how it ends. And he goes to this passage I go to a lot. I go to it so much. I try not to go to it as often. Even the other day I was asking chat, I was like, what would be a good verse for this side? That's not this. Because I go to this verse a lot. What are some other options? But Romans 8:28 through 32. And we know that God causes all things to work together for good to those who love him, to those who are called according to his purpose. For those whom he foreknew, he also predestined to become conformed to the image of his Son, so that he would be the firstborn among many brethren. And these whom he predestined, he also called. These whom he called, he also justified. And these whom he justified, he also glorified. What then shall we say to these things? If God is for us, who is against us? He who did not spare his own Son, but delivered him over for us all, how will he not also with him freely give us all things?
So good.
Yeah.
It reminds me of this as you were saying it. It's like if you're playing basketball and there's like this guy, all he can do is go to his right hand.
Yeah.
But he does it so good. Like you can shade, but he gets around. It's like, why go to any other move? This is like the best person. It's like, and you're like, he's not going left, but it's like he always scores. It's man, it's working.
That's good. No, that's good. And those people are like that. They like, I'm going to go left. Nah, I'm going right.
And you're like,
I'm going to left. No, I'm going right.
And you're like ready for it, but they always beat you. And you're like, how are they beating me this way? Yeah. But be an optimist. I know I was trying to evaluate my life. I think I am optimistic about the right things, but I think I'm a very also pessimistic. I'm always like worst case scenario, but I try to be optimistic about that, but try to be pessimistic about, other things, but it's good to be, about the right things.
In work, we took this thing called Clifton Strength Identifier, Adapter. I don't know. Clifton Strength something. And basically, a lot of things kind of show you, here's where you could, here are your weaknesses. Here's where you can grow. But they were saying that is really thinking about things wrong, because you're going to spend your whole life trying to change who you are.
Oh, interesting.
So here are your 5 strengths. And emphasize those strengths. Yeah. One of my 4th one, and they're in buckets of categories. They're different colors. All of mine were red, which is basically on the intellectual side, except for one was blue, and it's adaptability. And it basically said that people who with this strength think through worst case scenarios. To try to prepare beforehand. Like, if this happens, then I'll do this, and if this happens, then I'll do this. So I'm there with you. Like, I think good things are going to happen, but I try to be prepared for the bad things that happen.
Yeah, that's good. And Barclay, we got a lot of Barclay's quotes in Romans, and they're always good, except for that one time when it was heretical. But like, they're all good. I can't remember what it was, but he had like a terrible take on something. You remember this? Was it Barclay, the historian? I was like something. He was like, I don't like that sovereignty is so important, or something like that.
Yeah. Maybe that not was heretical. During the Romans 10, where he was focusing on man's responsibility.
Oh, that's right. So besides that, Barclay's had some good quotes. He has this one here: the Christian hope is the hope which has seen everything and endured everything, and is still not despaired because it believes in God. The Christian hope is not hope in the human spirit and human goodness and human endurance, human achievement. The Christian hope is hope in the power of God. And that's great. And I think, maybe that helps iron it out for me, where it's like, I have great hope in God. I have a lot less hope in my endurance and my goodness and that kind of thing. Where I'm like, this is not going to go good.
Yeah. And Joel didn't say this, but I was like, how do you not? How do you not say this? But Hope Has a Name is this song that we started singing during COVID. And I sang it so much, it kind of got associated with me. So, so people, Tim was like, oh, let's sing that song of yours, Michael. That's good.
That's great name.
All right. So this verse, rejoicing in hope, persevering in tribulation, to being devoted to prayer. And I think hope gives you that perseverance. And if you are truly hoping in a God who can solve problems, you should be regularly talking to him in prayer. So I think all those things kind of go together.
That
we should have a vibrant prayer life. Yeah.
Yep. I love it. Yeah. When I was teaching through this part of Romans, like the commentary I was reading, like gave like, these are like 8 different ways people are trying to everyone's trying to connect them. And it seems like none was like, there was always like something out of place, but I like that you're like connecting all of these here. Yeah. So, we get to verse 13, contributing to the needs of the saints, practicing hospitality.
I think you meant hospitality.
Hospitality. That's right. That's
an inside CBC joke. Joel comes from Dutch, Michigan, and there's some words that he just pronounces a little bit different. Hospitality, he pronounces as hospitality.
It works though. Yeah,
it does.
Great.
It does
it's
work.
Great. That's good. And I think that speaks for itself. Are you contributing to the needs of other Christians? Are you opening up your home? Are you being hospitable? Are you doing these things?
Yeah, and he says this word about practicing hospitality. Somewhere in there was philo, loving. I don't see a word here that I would translate, so maybe I missed it. What do you see anything in verse 13 that would be something with love?
Yeah, that's great. I do not.
Okay. Well, some word here, the underlying word is philozeno, which is loving the stranger or the alien. And then I talked to him on Wednesday. He said he was going to end with this song called "What Is Love," and I was like, the song that's like, "What is love? Baby, don't hurt me." He's like, no, not that one, the Christian one. So that's why I had it down here twice. But we were running a little long in service. This was our Sanctity of Human Life.
Oh, yeah.
And I think so. It was like a little longer before we got preaching, and then this was a little bit longer sermon. So
someone
I'm
knocked over the offering plate. It was just a long time.
He just someone threw up the offering plate. So I guess he just skipped over both of those. But I was waiting for the
what is love?
Yeah.
Great. Right. Well, let's apply this. Wherever you go to church, you really Christians at large, but pray for your love at the local body where you're at. Is it being sincere? Is it without hypocrisy? Is it being genuine? Good things to think through, because that's what we're called to where our love should be at.
Yeah, and it's good, especially at this point in time, if you've been following through this, or even if you haven't, go back and read chapters 1 through 11. You're going to see the mercies of God there. You're going to see the story of our need for salvation and how God brings that about. He doesn't just leave us at zero, but he builds into our lives. And he talks about, hey, not only can you trust me today, but you can trust me tomorrow and in the future. And let those motivate you to love others sincerely.
Yeah. If that don't motivate you, really nothing will. That is the foundation here. And then the last one, pray. Thinking through the various statements, seeking the Spirit's voice. We've got a handful of statements. Do you love indeed in truth? Do you abhor evil? Do you love folks in your local body as family? Are you fervent in spirit in serving the Lord? Are you an optimist? Do you rejoice in hope? How do you respond to tribulations? How is your prayer life? When is the last time you had someone in your home? A lot of ways you can apply it.
Right.
It's not like, how do I apply this to my life? It's very, very applicable.
Yeah, very, very practical. So anything else on loving without hypocrisy?
What do we got? We got one. What do you think he's going to think? He's going to bite off this whole paragraph or break it up? What's your prediction on verses 14 through 20?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Let me turn there and look to them. I am relegated to my phone for Bible use. Oh yeah, so 14 through 20. I say that's probably all.
You could do it.
Yeah, because 17. Right. Yeah, it's all connected.
It's all kind of yeah.
About allowing God to have vengeance, never paying back evil for evil. Yeah, I think that's good. I mean, I love heaping burning coals on people's heads when I do good for them.
So. Else that I love more. It's great. We should. Well, anyway. I've got nothing else to add. I shouldn't. When you're like, I just shouldn't say it. It's just going to make things. The upside is so minimal. Maybe a couple people would laugh. Could make a lot of people mad. So
okay.
We won't do it.
All right. Well, that's our day.
Thanks for listening to Take Two. Find us wherever you find podcasts and on YouTube for those who want to watch our videocast.